What do you want to do? What time are you going to be on the boat?
Let's say...
No, what did you just say?
I want to be on the boat by 7:45 a.m.
No, you just said 6.
Oh. Alright, start over. Are you guys doing hot dogs? We are.
That was awesome.
You would normally be terrified of this water.
That was awesome.
Even though we didn't make it on the water at 6 in the morning, we're still going to have an awesome time because look at that weather. Beautiful sunny day. We got the Never Again crew over here, and Connie is going to take up foot modeling. So quick shout out, check out that foot, rate that foot in the comment section. I'm just kidding, you don't need to do any of that. Let's get in the water. So first off, we're in a pretty shallow spot. This is a little wreck we found, some kind of hull of a boat upside down. Tons of snappers, tons of good eating size mangrove snapper, a lionfish in my face, couple more lionfish under there. Just wasn't set up to mess with them, so I didn't do anything with them at the time. Big pufferfish came out. That was kind of cool. I like me some pufferfish, like to chase them, try to grab them. But again, that's not what we're looking for. This is what we're looking for right here. Now, there's not one, there's not two, there's not three. There's a bunch of hogfish around, but they're a little small. See that one kind of camoing hiding in the fans, totally different color than the rest of them? He feels nice and safe in there. That's where they like to be. Here's some more hogfish, and again, these would be great eating fish, whether you're trying to make some ceviche or just have enough fish for dinner. They're not big by any means, but they are perfect enough to eat. We'll call them that, perfect enough. Now I'm dropping down, and now I'm looking to spear something. I have my Headhunter Gorilla Sling. I have it rigged up on a shooting line. This is a slip tip, and I'm looking at getting a shot off on one of these bigger hogfish. Right as it starts to kind of swim under this ledge. I let the spear go. I hit it pretty good. I knew I could just start pulling it in. But just to be safe, I like to swim down there. It's always best if you can get yourself to the fish because then you can stop the fish from moving around and attracting sharks, which is a huge problem we have pretty much everywhere we dive. There are tons of sharks everywhere. But now we got dinner. We got us a nice hogfish to have for dinner.
Edible.
Finally found a hog. You can turn it off. We're going after something different now, and these were some fish I spotted from the surface. Right when I got in the water, I saw these fish swimming around, and I had a feeling I was going to be able to get close enough to one, which doesn't happen a lot of the time. A lot of times these fish stay just out of range, and most people don't even target them. A lot of people are kind of not wanting to fillet them. They think they're real difficult to fillet, but once you get the hang of it, they're not bad at all. And these are triggerfish. Big old OTs, big old ocean tallies or oceanic triggerfish, and they are an incredibly delicious fish. I let the sling fly on that one, hit him good, didn't stone him or anything, but real good shot, and I was able to pull him in and land this fish. Now, something I like to do with all my fish is brain them. That means I grab my dive knife. This is a sword dive knife. I especially want to brain triggerfish because the bite these things produce is absolutely ridiculous and it will mess you up big time. So I like to kill them so I don't get bit or no one in the boat gets bit, and then put them in the boat, and that is, now we got a hogfish and a triggerfish. That's some good eating right there, but I think we had like 9 people at the house on this trip. There's only 4 or 5 of us on the boat at this time. But we had a lot of people, so we wanted to make sure we had enough fish for dinner. And I had another hogfish. I was kind of taking a shot through the fan here. I shot it. Thing took off with the spear. Again, not a hero hogfish, but hit him good with the sling. He tried to make his way back to another fan, but since my sling is rigged up on that shooting line, I'm able to let the fish run and then I can pull it in, as opposed to the traditional sling method, which requires you to chase the fish. Again here, I get my dive knife, I quickly brain the fish, put it out of its misery, I bleed the fish, that way it makes the meat a little bit better, and we got us another fish for dinner. Now we're starting to shape up pretty well. Not quite done yet, but now I'm going to show you something that is really why we're here. Because I'm not here because I'm hungry. That's what I say a lot of time. We don't
Coming in
spear
about
fish
the
because we're
boat.
hungry. We don't fish because we're hungry. Eating the fish is a great plus. I absolutely love it. But we're here to experience things that most people only see on TV or on like a National Geographic style thing. Anything from that little turtle there swimming on the reef to this awesome encounter with some super friendly, super curious dolphins that just came in from nowhere. Majestic dolphin interaction was over. It was time to get back to some harvesting. Now, look under that rock at my flashlight. That is a lobster. Lobsters are one of my favorite things to eat in the entire world, and they are very
You throw me a
plentiful in the
snare?
Bahamas. You're allowed to spear them. You're allowed to catch them by pretty much any means necessary. My favorite way is with the snare. I like the snare for a couple reasons. It's kind of strategic and fun to start with, but also if you spear a lobster, it makes it a little hard to let it go. And sometimes the lobsters have eggs and it's hard to tell from where the lobsters are standing, so it's a good way to catch the lobsters without hurting them. So you can let them go if you need to. We catch lobsters in pretty much everything, but a dead giveaway that there's been a lobster around is that big old pile of shells in front of that one. They eat anything. I mean, lobsters are anything from scavengers, but they'll also eat all kinds of clams and stuff like that. And often when we find a good area with a lot of lobsters, there's like a big pile of shells around from all the stuff they've been eating. Uh, this is also something really good to see. All those grunts and little snappers and everything cruising around, I call them life rocks. It's just an area that holds a lot of life, and the little life brings the bigger life. So usually you find little schools of the yellowtail snapper or a lot of grunts, or in this case, those are all lane snapper. I've never seen a school that big of lane snapper. Uh, this is a little bit shallower. We were having some lobsters for lunch on the boat, so we rung up some lobster heads, threw them in the water, hopped in, and those triggerfish that I like so much, were going to town on that thing. So I was able to creep up without him really caring a whole lot. I was there, get really close, and this was a much bigger triggerfish than the last one. I hit it hard. I hit it really good with the sling, but if you've ever felt a triggerfish, you know how skin is. It can be really hard to penetrate it, and the spear didn't go all the way through. Now, I saw it was bleeding, which means this fish is going to be done very soon. And since my sling is rigged up, I got that gorilla sling rigged up on a string, I don't have to swim back down and get it. I'm never lifting my head up. I'm keeping my head down on the fish the whole time. I pulled the shaft of the sling back up. I saw right where the fish went down into this rock. I didn't know how far it went back in there, and I was swimming down to kind of get a look for it because I never want to lose a fish I shoot. If I shoot the fish, I want to take it home. I can see the hole that it went into goes nowhere. So I go ahead and grab the fish by the tail. I start pulling it out, but it's still got a little bit of life to it, and I don't want to get bit by it. So it did a couple shakes, it got out of my hand, and instead of risking grabbing it again and losing it and dropping it again, I just decided to load the sling, shoot it, pull it in, and then I would proceed to get my dive knife like I always do and finish the fish off.
I mean, I'm not gonna lose it.
After diving for a little bit longer, I called for the lobster snare again because while we were spearfishing, I found a lobster. Cool thing about the lobsters, they usually don't really go anywhere. So I left my sling on the bottom marking the spot and went up to the surface and got the snare. You can see I used the snare. I kind of tickled the lobster is what you call it, tickle him out of there a little bit, get him to walk forward. I open up the snare behind him, and then you just got to get him to walk into the snare or pull the snare forward, and then cinch it down. Once you cinch it down, slide your hand down, grab a hold of him. That one almost wiggled out, but he didn't. So I got him. I grabbed my spear off the bottom that was marking the spot, and then I'm working my way to the top. Now, while I'm doing this, Scott's watching me from the surface. I think he actually found the lobster, and then I marked it with mine and called for the snare. Now, I'm on my way back to the surface, and I guess it was the commotion from the lobster, but it attracted a hogfish. So Scott was ready at the surface with his pole spear. He's got the Headhunter Predator pole spear. He swam down with the pole spear loaded up, lined up on another hog about the same size as the hogs I've been shooting. Like I said before, I know they're not heroes, but they are an absolutely delicious fish, and hogfish and lobster for dinner, it don't get a whole lot better than that. So he's got himself a nice hogfish, swimming it up, and then we were going to head back to the boat. Well, I got one on the snare, and then Scott found the bigger one. I'm going to put him down. You pick him up. Lobster is such an awkward thing to hold for a picture. There it is. Beautiful lobster. Big shout out to Ron's Hotspot for getting our hogfish cooked up for us. We got it Nassau, blackened, and fried.